And good evening, everyone. Welcome back, y'all. It is Dr. Dwayne Wood, and I'm so excited that I get to come hang out with you guys for just a little bit longer. You're catching me just at the end, y'all. Just at the end of a 72-hour fast. In fact, it is 72 hours and 8 minutes. That's right, 72 hours and 8 minutes. And you guys know how we do here on the check-ins. We'll go ahead and show you some of my numbers. We'll go ahead and show you what my monitor is showing. I have my Keto Mojo meter over here to the side. And we'll take a look at what my graphs are. The other thing that we're going to do tonight is I don't think you've had the occasion to see me change one of my monitors, but I'm going to go ahead and do that because my my Libre monitor actually ended just maybe a couple minutes ago. I didn't realize that it was getting ready to end, and so we did that. We ended, and so you're going to get a chance to see me change that here in real time and put on my new one. So this is my Libre 3, and I'm going to actually, let me put it over here so you can actually see what that looks like. Let's go back to this view. So this is my Libre, and we'll get that put on here in just a minute. But just excited that you're here. I see Teresa's out there. Hey, Teresa, welcome. Glad that you are here. Let's put it over on this screen. There we go. Glad that you can join us. Teresa is saying, "Evening, doctor." So let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on. So new year, new you. That's what we've been talking about. How do we take charge of our lives? How do we, for our patients who have type 2 diabetes, these are our adults with type 2 diabetes, how do we put our diabetes in remission? In particular, how do we get off of some of this medication? And we've been going through the last several weeks from the beginning of the year talking about the things that we need to do to be able to get to that goal. One of the tools that I have taught, one of the tools that we've been using is this idea of fasting. Now, I've been doing a 72-hour fast. I'm not recommending that you do a 72-hour fast, but one of the challenges that we've had here in the month of, October, the month of February, is that you work your way up so that you can fast for 24 hours once a week. Now, I'm doing a 72-hour fast. And I'm doing that for several reasons. One of the reasons is so I could show you what this looks like, what happens to blood sugars, and to let you know that it can be done. So what I want to do tonight is I want to talk briefly about success. What does success mean in this case? What does success mean as we are talking about putting our diabetes in remission? And specifically, what does it mean in terms of fasting? Now, we've got a goal. The goal is by the end of the year, several of you are going to be off of medication. You're going to have reduced your medication significantly and putting our diabetes in remission. That is the goal, December 31st of 2024. Let's put it out there, right? So adults with type 2 diabetes, that's where we're heading. Now, let me pause and let me interject right here that along the course, there are going to be several people that are going to have starts and stops. In fact, if you remember the month of January, the goal was that we work our way up wherever you started. If you were fasting for 8 hours when you were sleeping and that's all you were doing, I challenge you to add another 2 hours to that. So instead of 8 hours, go to 10 hours. If you were at 10 hours, go to 12 hours. If you're at 12, go to 14, 14 go to 16, 16 go to 18, 18 go to 20, 20 go to 22, and 22 go to 24. That was the challenge in the month of January. We started wherever you were, y'all. In the month of February, we enhanced that and said, hey, now what we want to do, now that you've been able to fast for 24 hours, we're going to now start fasting once a week for 24 hours. That's 4 times a month, or if there is a 5th week, you're going to fast for that week. Okay, so once a week, 24-hour period. Suppose you are now in the month of February, but you've not yet gotten to number 18 or hour 18. That does not mean that you failed. Come on now. Come on, right? Because we're talking about progress, not perfection. So wherever you find yourself, in fact, here's another scenario. Suppose you are just now finding this channel. You are just now finding this video. You are just now learning about this video and you're watching the replay. Suppose it's now February or March or April or May or even June. That doesn't mean that you can't come along and start where you are. Okay, so I want to let you know that success in our case is any progress that we're making. That is a marker of success. We want to celebrate the victories that we have. Now, what is our goal? Our goal is December 31st of 2024. We've got a place that we want to be. That's where we're heading. That does not mean, though, that along the way, we're not going to celebrate those victories. So if you were able to fast for 23 hours, guess what? Hey, I'm excited. If you were able to fast for 20 hours, if you were able to fast for 19, if you started at 2 hours, y'all, and now you're up to 3, come on. I'm loving it. Right? Because we are moving in a direction. We're moving to a goal and we are going along the way. We're talking about progress, not perfection. Okay? Let me say that. And I wanted to say that because I've had some folks who've said to me, hey, I didn't make it. In fact, I had somebody who fasted for 66 hours. Congratulations. But I got a message say, oh, I failed. I didn't make it. Hey, if you made 66 hours, come on. Let's give some props right there, y'all. Okay. So wherever you are, I want you to know that we are celebrating with you. We're celebrating where you are. If you have been able to fast with us, if you've been able to make it to 24 or whatever number of hours you're at right now, go ahead and put those in the chat. If you're watching the replay, put replay, a hashtag replay, and put the number of hours that you are fasting. Okay. But I want to celebrate. I want to go ahead and give you, let you know that I'm excited for where you are, excited for what you're doing, and excited that we are moving together. Okay. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about where I am in my fast. And the first thing that I want to do, though, before I do that, is I want to go ahead and change out my Libre. Okay. I'm going to change out my Libre and I'm going to change my view here to make that a little clearer. And so right now, this is where my Libre monitor is. Right. So you guys see that a little bit. So I'm just going to take that off. Right. And it basically just peels off kind of like a Band-Aid. As you know, I wear both a Libre and a Dexcom. So I have the Dexcom over on this side and the Libre on this side. And here is my new Libre that I'm about to put on. I got to hide my eyes so that it will focus on that. Okay. And basically the way this works, and why don't I change my view? All right. So let's put it over here. Okay. I'm going to move all these guys off to the side. For now, well, let's bring it over here. All right, so this is what the Libre 3 looks like. All right, and it's basically a big screw. So we're gonna go ahead and screw that apart. Actually, I think my folks who are on. There we go. Okay. So, for you guys who are on Instagram, you should be able to see that now because I've moved it right in the center. So there we are. Okay. So I'm going to screw that apart and then come back to this scene. And what I tell people when they're putting this on, so just basically make a 90-degree angle, right? So right here. And normally this goes way up here. Okay. I put mine lower down because when it's higher up, I tend to bump into it and knock it off. So I actually put it a little lower, closer to my elbow, because everybody protects their elbows, right? So nobody just goes around bumping their elbows. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just pop that on. And because I'm wearing 2 monitors, normally what I tell people is to rotate monitor on one arm, and then the next time you change, you rotate it on the other arm. So what I've had to do is I basically move it on the same arm, but I move it onto a different spot. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm trying to find okay, there we go. So I was right here, and you can't really see, maybe right there. You probably can still see some of the tape. And I'm just going to go a little lower, right? And then off to the one side. All right. And for this one, you basically just put it there and you push it on. And then once I take the applicator off, I usually take my finger and just run it over the tape so that I make sure it's secure. And then now let me hop over to, this is the app, and app says there, and it says scan the sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to take my phone, and basically what I have to do is I have to put it up against the sensor, and you'll see a little check mark that came up. And it says, give me some warnings there. And then it says, in 60 minutes, I'll get my first reading. Okay. So now you won't be able to see that. Well, because we won't be on for 60 minutes, but but you get the idea. Okay. And so that is the application of the reader. Sorry, not this reader, but the sensor. And that is the Libre. Okay, that's Libre. Now the Dexcom goes on in a similar way, except you have to push a button, and I think at some point we may come back and do that, so you guys can see that as well. All right, so that's where we are. All right, so let's do this. Let's go over and let's take a look at my Dexcom. And so the Dexcom right now is saying that my blood sugar is 73. And let's see, I want to, okay, let's take a look at this guy. And then, all right, so I think this will allow everyone to see, even those folks that are on Instagram. Okay, so so you see my Dexcom says that my blood sugar is 73 right now. And then, of course, we're waiting for the Libre to finish its warm up, and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right. Now let's go over, and I'm going to go back to my Glucomojo meter. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to leave this up like that. And over in the Glucomojo, I'm going to go ahead and check my blood sugar. Let's go ahead and pop that in. And you guys know how I do. As I've said before, I don't use a Lancet or Lansing device. I basically take the Lancet and I make a little poke. And we're going to milk. Oops. There we go. Milk our drop of blood, and just in a couple of seconds we'll get that number. So 58 is what the Glucomojo meter is saying. No, Keto Mojo, sorry, is what it's saying. So 58, and my Dexcom right now is saying 74. So let's take that out, and then let's get our ketone strip in, and we've got our drop of blood, and I don't mean to get that drop of blood there, and then we'll see what that number is in just a few seconds. Okay, and remember, we want that, what do you think is going to be, 2.1 maybe, 2.3, maybe even 3, because as we fast, wow, we're at 4. You guys see that? Okay, so let me hop over to my Keto Mojo, not that one. Let's get my app. And so this app now will pull in that data, and then we'll be able to see the graph, because I want you to see what happens to the blood sugars or ketones as the blood sugars go down. Okay, so 58 was my glucose. My ketones are 4.1. Let's pause here for a second. Let me have a conversation. So with the ketones, as we talked about before, there are several ranges for ketones. So ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. And we'll show you that in the graph here in a little bit. At 0.5 to about 1.5 is considered nutritional ketosis. And then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. We didn't talk yet about the therapeutic ranges. Right now, we're just trying to get into the space where we are in ketosis. And you'll see there at the bottom, it says you're in the highest therapeutic level of GKI. So we want the ketones to be high, the glucose to be low. And then the GKI simply is a division of the glucose by the ketones. Let's take a look at our graph. And I want to go back to last week before we started fasting, right? So you'll see there the tan line, that blood sugar is about 121. And you see as the blood sugar is higher, the ketones are very low. So we were 121 up here and the ketones were 0.3, right? So we're not in ketosis. And as we started fasting, you'll see that the lines crossed. And as the blood sugar went down lower, then the ketones went higher, okay? And then popping over to this week, you see the similar thing. We started out with blood sugars that were higher, and that blood sugar right there is what, 122 with ketones of 0.4. And as the course of the fast went on, you'll see that the blood sugars dropped, the tan line is coming down, the ketones are going higher, and then they cross, right? And ketones got higher and higher as the blood sugars got lower and lower. Now, here's an interesting thing. Most people will say, hey, wait a minute, the blood sugar is low. Aren't you feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, blurry vision, tachycardic, right? Fast heart rate, all those things that we see, that we talk about when we talk about low blood sugars? And the answer is no. Why is that? The reason for that is that right now my body is using fat, right? It's burning fat cells to produce an alternative source of energy. It's kind of like those hybrid cars, right? You can use gas or you can use electricity or the battery. So my body has switched from burning sugar, burning glucose, to now burning ketones. And if you remember a couple of check-ins ago, let me see if I'm going to hop over and I'm going to pull that up so you guys can see that. If you remember this graph, right, what's happening during your fast? What goes on during your fast? And we're going to skip the preparing fast, right, number 1 and number 5, and just talk about the middle. So initially, during the first 24 hours, your body is burning sugar, right? It's using up the energy of the food that you just ate. And then it begins burning the glycogen that's stored in your liver. Right, that's the first 24 hours. 24 to 48 hours now, then the body begins switching because it's used up all the sugar. It's used up all the glycogen, most of it. And now it's switching to burning fat. And now it's using ketones. That's why you can see, and let me hop back over to this graph. That's why you'll see, and we'll look at my the actual Dexcom graph on the website here in just a minute. That's why you see blood sugars will drop and then they come back up. Well, why do they come back up? Well, because the body now found a different source of energy. Okay. And then, of course, in the 48 to 72 hours, which is where I am right now, the 48 to 72 hours, that's where this idea of autophagy comes in. And autophagy is the body's way of reclaiming the damaged cells that are in the body, right? So those damaged cells that are in the body begins reclaiming them, right? And that's autophagy, and that begins and goes through 48 to 72 hours. Awesome. All right. So let's hop over here. Let's see. So you guys are seeing there we go. Let's hop over here. Okay. So let's take a look at, first of all, let's look at the Dexcom, right? So let's see, where are we? Okay, here we are on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I started my fast. Let me get my mouse so you guys can see a little bit more. Right, so I started my fast right here at 6 o'clock. On Tuesday evening, All right, 6 o'clock Tuesday evening. And then Wednesday, you'll see that those blood sugars kind of hung out in the 150s, 140s. And right here, this gap that you're seeing, that's when I had to change my Dexcom, because the Dexcom lasts for 10 days. The Libre lasts for 14. That's why the Libre lasted few more days beyond the Dexcom. And then for the rest of that evening, right? So we're staying right about, we were at 150, 140s, and now, right, we're dropping down to about 100, which is great. Now coming into Thursday, so yesterday, here we see the blood sugars dropping. And right here, right, where it pops up, you know, we've talked about the dawn phenomenon. That's that phenomenon where the body pumps you full of growth hormone, cortisol, epinephrine in order to get you going for the day. And this happens to everybody on the planet. The only reason that we know about it is because diabetics are checking their blood sugar, right? So right in this area, you'll see that my blood sugar starts to going up, and it stays up, y'all. Look at that, until right about noon, right, before it starts coming back down. And then for the rest of the day, continues to drop down. And now we're below 100. And then coming into Friday, which is today, and you'll see there were several times during today where it got down to about 70, and here it got below 70, right? And once again, here is my dawn phenomenon, because the blood sugars are right about 100, and then they go up right here, and they stay up until about noon, and then they start dropping again, dropping. And right here is where I just changed my glucose, my continuous glucose monitor. Okay, so that's where that is. Now let's hop over and let's take a look at the Libre. All right, and this one, let's see where. Okay, here we are. Actually, I think I need to go down a little bit. Okay, so this is Wednesday, or so Tuesday. This is where we started the fast. And then all day Wednesday. And then Thursday. And notice on Thursday, our blood sugars kind of just above 70. And here is that rise again. That's my dawn phenomenon until about noon. And then it starts to drop and gets down right above 70. And then for today, notice that we're actually just straddling 70. And here's my dawn phenomenon again. We go up. We last until noon, and then we start coming back down. And right in here, I think we just dipped right below 70. Okay, so right below 70, and then we came back up. So that is what's been going on. And so as you guys know now, the fast or breaking of the fast is just as important as the fast itself, right? Because we can have a wonderful fast, but if we're not careful, we end up having an issue, because we end up eating and doing things that we don't want, or eating things that shoot us way out of our range. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I do want to pause for a moment and say welcome to someone. I see Coulter. Hey, Coulter. Welcome. Coulter says, hey, I'm wearing one of those. Data is amazing. Yes, it is. I love seeing it. And we will, as we go through the shows, right, over the course of the next month or so, we're going to come back and do a show about monitoring, right? So far we've been talking about the things that you do, right? Watching your, looking at your medication. What medication do we need to get off? How do we decrease some certain medication? What conversations to have with our doctor? And I've shown you all of the devices, my Libre, my Dexcom, the graphs on the website, my Keto Mojo meter. We're going to come back and we're going to do a show where we talk about, okay, what are the things that we are using to monitor? All right. But for right now, I am going to break my fast, and I'm actually 33 minutes over my fast. And I usually use bone broth, which is what's here. I have some beans that's here. And then you guys know that I love nuts, right? So I've got some Planters There you go. All right, so this is what I'm going to be using to break my fast. And a patient of mine actually this week gave me an idea, or gave me a recipe. It wasn't an idea. It is avocados, cheese, and eggs. And what he did was he mixed them together and created it in the form of bread. And then he toasted it, right? And so that was what he used, for snacks and so forth. So I'm going to try that, right? So there's fat in there, and there's some protein in there, a little bit of carbs, right? So I think I'm going to use that probably next week. When you come on back, we'll maybe show you what that looks like. I'm going to use that because I'm going to right now break the fast with the things that you see here, and then my next meal, I think next week I'll do that, will be one of those little, I guess, sandwich breads, those avocado bread without the bread. So we'll do that. Okay. Let's see what else before I jump into some of this bone broth. If you're fasting, if you fasted before, what have you used in the past to break your fast? All right, go ahead and put that in the chat. I'd love to know what it is, what it is that you have been using. Let's see. Culture says this is fascinating. The data involved in how the body operates is amazing. He said that sounds delicate, and I'm assuming you're talking about the avocado, egg, and cheese. And I think what he said was he put enough cheese in it to make it firm, and then he toasted it. So I'm going to try it, and and I'll let you know. Maybe I'll do a video and let you see what that looks like. Okay. All right. So let's hop over, and guys, look at my blood sugar. Right. Let's see. Let's put it on this one. Look at my blood sugar. Right. So 72 plus hours of not eating, and yet my blood sugar is 75. Right. So where's the body getting the energy? Where's it getting that sugar from? Right. That's now coming from ketones. Right. So we're converting triglycerides. We're burning. Right. So we break the triglycerides from the fat cells into glycerol and free fatty acids. The glycerol gets turned into sugar, and then the free fatty acids gets broken down, and then we use the ketones from that. Awesome. All right. That sounds delicious. Oh, okay. Sorry. Coulter, you said that sounds delicious. I thought you said that sounds delicate. So yeah, Google that recipe. That would be amazing. He didn't give me the actual recipe. He told me what it was. So I'm going to try it. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead, and y'all, while we talk a little bit, I'm going to start with some of this bone broth. And this is the first time I'm trying this bone broth. Let me do this. This is actually a combination of bone broth and chicken broth, by the way. Let me pull up for you. As you guys know, I've been using this app called Yuka. Let's do this first. So I've got 42 minutes left on the Libre before it gives us what we need. And then let me pull up my Yuka app. Okay, so here's the app that I use to kind of check foods. And this thing that I'm using now that I did, this was not a just package, this was a mixture. So water plus, right, so this guy right here. Right, chicken style instant broth. And then the bone broth one, it's not in here. Okay, but I mixed the two, right? I mixed the two. And then the beans that I'm using, let's see, do I have that in there? It's pinto beans, right? Pinto beans, right? And then, of course, for the nuts that I'm using, those are Planters cashews. Actually, these are halves and pieces, right? Halves and pieces, and they're lightly salted. Okay, so while I go through this and take a sip of this broth, so actually the reason I told you I don't know what this tastes like, right? Because I've never had this but I saw it at the store this when I was out, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to try this." That's good. It's very salty though. Yeah, it's very, very salty. Let's go back and let's take a look. I guess I looked at the sugar content, but I didn't look at the salt content. Let's see, where are we? I think it was up here. Ooh, sodium. Look at that, guys. Ooh, 460 milligrams. Ooh. Oh, you can't see that. Yeah, let me go back here. All right, 460 milligrams, 2 grams of sugar. So great place for us to talk about this idea of breaking the fast, right? So during the process of breaking the fast, the reason that we use bone broth or things of that nature is that it actually maintains the ketosis that you're in for a little longer, right? Because there's not any sugar, carbs in it. You don't want to have anything that's high in carbs when you first break the fast, because that carbs those carbs that come in give you a big spike of insulin. And remember, insulin is the thing that we don't want to be spiking. The other thing is, don't use, particularly if you've done a longer fast, you don't want to use heavy food. So you won't like go out and eat some chicken or roast beef or like a full meal. You want to ease into that, because your body at that point, the GI tract has actually changed, and some of the cells that are in there that produce that are in the lining, right? They have to start making substances, the mucus, and we'll say that will help to digest and absorb the food. And if you just dump a big load in there, then they produce a lot of stuff, and then some people can have diarrhea and so forth, right? So make sure that you are easing into this. So that's why I'm doing the bone broth, and then I do the beans. The beans do have they do have carbs, by the way, not a lot of carbs. So I'm going to eat some of those, and then I'm going to eat nuts, and go from there. Let's see. Coulter says, he says, we just resume eating our normal meals. Haven't really thought about how to do it properly. Okay. And particularly if you are not doing an extended fast, then it's not as crucial. But if you're doing anything beyond 24, 36 hours, then be careful with that. Doing the fast, do you do any of exercise? Yes, I do. Let me see. This morning I went walking. Where is my app? Let me pull that up for you. Let's see. Where's my workout from today? All right. So this is my workout from this morning. All right. So I walk. Okay, that's my exercise. I am in the process of, or some guys, I shouldn't say I am. They're in the process trying to get me to come out to go to the gym with them to do weightlifting at 4:30 in the morning, y'all. 4:30. Okay, I'm considering it, but I'm not there yet. Okay, but that's what I do in terms of exercise right now. For those of you who are using the fasting for weight loss or even for blood sugars, one of the cautions that we have with the exercise is I don't tell patients, clients to actually do vigorous exercise when they're first starting, if they have not been doing that all along. If you've been exercising and you've been doing that all along, and this is not, the exercise part is not new for you, it's just, okay, now we need to get our insulin down, control our blood sugars, get off of some medication, we're working on our weight. If you've been exercising before, that's fine. But if this is the first time you're doing it, I actually don't recommend vigorous exercise, because what exercise does is it makes you hungry. And most of us have not learned or listened to know our body yet to know when we've eaten enough to satisfy the hunger that comes from the exercise. So what we end up doing is we exercise 300, 400 calories, and we end up eating 1,000 calories. So people are putting on weight, and they're like, wait a minute, I'm exercising, I'm eating better, and I'm putting on weight. Yeah, that's because we are overcompensating for the calories that we've burned. Okay. So walking, great. Is a great way to do that, but we don't recommend vigorous exercise. So Teresa, I hope that answers your question. All right, let's see. Teresa says, what is this app again? Now, I have several apps, Teresa. So if you're talking about the blood sugars, let's go back. So this app right here, this one that shows my walking, this one is called Map My Walk. Okay. This guy is called Yuka, and this is the one that gives you all of the information about the foods. Of course, this is my Libre. This one is my Dexcom. And then this one right here is my my Keto Mojo app that goes along with the meter. Okay. Oh yeah. So Coulter put it in there. So Yuka. Coulter says, we just do an 18 to 24 hour fast. Haven't gone longer than that. If you guys, last week, if you remember, the week before, I was actually in Jamaica. Okay. And I interrupted my fast, I think at 24 hours. Yeah. Cause we were there, we were visiting, we went to some friend's house and they cooked. And, I made the point that your life should fit into your management of your disease, right? So if you go somewhere, or your child, your husband, your wife, if they cook something on your birthday or as an anniversary, and you're like, okay, I can't eat that because I'm fasting, you may make that choice, but I choose, right? I choose not to handle it that way. So if I go to someone's house, even if I'm fasting, and we're all sitting around, we're at the table, and I'm offered something, I will eat. Okay, so I interrupted the fast, but then I came back and I was in a challenge, and it was a challenge to do a 5-day fast, and I actually went for 4.5 days on that fast, and I realized that I hadn't been recording it for you guys. So at some point we're gonna do that again, and I am not doing these extended fasts. Well, let me back up. I'm doing the extended fast, number one, because there are things that I am working on, okay? So people who have significant disease processes, diabetes, people who have heart disease, people who are suffering with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, some of the fasts that we're going to do have to be longer, right? If we're going to make some significant dents. But right now, we're just working on a 24-hour fast. I was doing a working on a 5-day fast. I actually interrupted that fast at 4.5 days. What I want to also show you is, I want to show you this guy. And so this is my Fit Index app. And I think I have not showed this to you in a couple of days, but I want you to look at the weight, right? So 192, 192, 193. And let's see, we started the fast right here on the 20th. What's today? Today is the 23rd. Yeah, so 3 days ago, right? 197, 194, 192. This morning was 190. But I want you to look at this graph, and this is March of 2023. So March of 2023, we're at 240, and February of 2024, we are a month away from the 1 year mark, and we're at 190. Right. So I tell people between between a half a pound and 1 pound per week is what you want to do. That is good a good pace for weight loss. Okay. Now, it's tempting to say, hey, I'm just going to, lose the weight and go, with gangbusters. But I want you to be careful, because what we want to do is, as we're doing that, we're learning the things that we need to do to make this something that we can do forever. Okay? So we don't want to do it for a month, for a week, for 2 months, a week, or a year even, and then go back. So we're learning the things that we need to do to be able to do this for the rest of our lives. Okay. All right. So Teresa, this is okay. While I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and get back to my bone broth. All right. So Coulter says, do you hydrate while fasting? Oops. I do, Coulter. I do hydrate. Water. I do unsweetened tea. I don't do coffee, but people do coffee. There's some question as to whether that still stays in the fast, but I've said, yeah, we can do that. If you, some people have a problem with the taste, the flavor of just water or tea. You can get sweeteners to do that. With the sweeteners, though, remember that sweeteners, one of the things they do is they make you hungry. So you got to be careful, and you've got to see how your body responds with those things. One of the things that I used to talk about is infused water, right? So you get fruits and you put it in the water, leave it there for 12 hours, and it absorbs some of the flavor. The only thing there is that some of it, if you're not, well, I shouldn't say if you're careful, some of it will absorb the carbohydrates. And so now when you drink that, yeah, you've actually interrupted the fast. But yes, hydration is very important, because if you don't do it, then your body will not allow you to continue the fast, right? So one of the things we want to make sure that we're hydrating, and that we are looking at we're monitoring our body and listening to our body. So Teresa is saying, thank you for Coulter. Not overcompensating is a great reason to know the data. Yes, yes. Right, so we don't want to overcompensate, and so knowing the data is very, very important, so that you can pace yourself. You can say, hey, this is where I am, this is what I want to do, and so forth. Okay, and then let's see, Coulter is saying, he said, dude, that's amazing progress. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. New year, new you, right? New year, new you. New year, new you. All right. So I think I'm going to have some of these beans. I think the bone broth is a bit too salty for me. Y'all, oh my goodness. Now these beans are good. Wow. Do you think it's just them just... Now here's the thing. I'm not hungry, right? And I was talking to someone earlier this week who was kind of fasting along with me. And she was saying she wasn't hungry, but her brain was telling her it's time to eat. And that's the amazing thing about this process. Remember, the things that cause us to eat, the things that interrupt our fasting, are our habit. Remember the HEAT, habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Those are the things that will make us interrupt our fast, break our fast. It's not that we're hungry, right? So, but this is, oh my goodness, this is so good. I'm gonna have to get some more of this, yo. Okay. So let me go back to this slide. Because this is really the path. Number one, as you're getting ready for the fast, you want to make sure that you are preparing for the fast. You're getting good rest. Actually, why don't I'm gonna pop through. Right, the initial 24 hours. Right, so you want to prepare for the fast. Get good rest. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you have a good meal. If you remember, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was coming out of a intermittent fast, I was in a meeting, and the time for my fast, my 72-hour fast was starting. And so what I did was I just went directly into the 72-hour fast. That was not the right thing to do. Okay. What I should have done was postponed it, got hydrated, ate, and then done the fast later. So we want to make sure that you are preparing for the fast. Okay. Let people around you know, hey, I'm going to be fasting, so they can support you. Right. A big part of what we do is the support, right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage. The encouragement comes from support. Come here on the channel. We do this every week, y'all. This is a great place for you. Come ask questions like folks are doing right now. When we do our shows, we talk about fasting. We show you the numbers. I want you to feel like that we're in this together, that we're doing it together, right? So prepare for the fast. The initial 24 hours, remember, at that point, we are burning carbs, we're burning glycogen, we're using up the stuff in the liver. And that's the goal for the month of February. You are challenged to do 1 day a week for 24 hours, a 24-hour fast. And we're doing a complete calorie fast. We're not taking anything with calories. We're drinking water. You can do unsweetened tea. We have said you can do the coffee. So that is what we're doing. If you're doing a longer fast, right, an extended fast, we're now talking about 24 to 36 hours, 24 to 48 hours. During that process, we're now breaking down the fat cells, and we're in ketosis. And then once we get 48 to 72 hours, now we've gone into the autophagy, and our body is now reclaiming, rebuilding those cells that are damaged. Okay, so that's the path. And then, of course, as you just saw, breaking the fast is just as important as it is. Breaking the fast is just as important as fasting. Okay. All right. Let's see. Coulter is asking. He said, "Could that broth be salty because it is in?" Yes. Yes, I bought it, and I actually bought two. I bought the beef broth. I bought the chicken broth. So I'm going to have to use less or do something else. Now, the salt during the process of fasting, right? Sometimes we need electrolytes, but I don't need it right now. And I don't need it in this form. All right. Habits, emotion, access, and taste. Got to remember that. Yes. Heat. So we did a show where we rolled that out. Those are the categories of things that will cause people to break a fast. And the heat, y'all, these are the things that drive us to the food. So during the process of fasting, you will begin learning. You'll hear your body. You're not hungry. You know you're not hungry. And yet something will say to you, go get those chips. Go get right? So what is that's pulling you to do that? Some of us, it's 12 o'clock. That's what we do. We eat. Or, we hang out with our friends. Or on Tuesday, we go and we play games. We go bowling. We go here. We sit down to watch a movie and we eat popcorn, right? So those habits, emotions, we talked about halt, right? Don't be too halt, too hungry, angry, lonely, tired, frustrated, right? Bored, right? So all those things, all those emotions will cause you to eat. And on Monday, this past Monday, we talked about how stress hormones will affect blood sugars. Amazing conversation that we had there. And then access. Sometimes we just eat because it's there. Now, these guys right here, I've got to be so careful with these, right? Because they're sitting here in my studio. And I get them because that's what I used to break my fast. And I get them because I think they're healthy snacks. But if they're sitting here in this bowl or in this container, y'all, as I'm talking or as I'm doing my stuff here, as I'm recording, as I'm working or whatever, I'm eating, right? So, and they're there. I'm not hungry, but because they're there, right, that access, I'm using it. And then taste, right? We eat because of taste. Remember that bliss point, the right amount of fat, the right amount of carbs, the right amount of sugar that makes us say, hey, we can't just have one. When I go home, when I go to New York, I get off the plane, my sister picks me up, or I get in the car and I'm driving to my mom's house. You know what I do? I stop off, I get a hot dog, I get a slice of pizza and get some Chinese food. Why? Because I grew up in Brooklyn and that's what I ate. That's what I loved. It reminds me of being there. That taste, y'all, right? So all those things, that's what drives us to food. It's not hunger. A lot of us, we feel the gurgling or we feel the rumbling and we equate that with hunger. No, hunger is your body saying, I need energy, and we have enough energy. Most of us, even if someone is not obese or overweight, most of us have about 100,000 calories in excess stored in our bodies. So it's not that we need food, it's that we are used to food for several reasons. All right. Let's see. Colton said, I'm sitting in the parking lot at the grocery store to watch this. Shopping is taking a back seat to learn. I love it. I love it. And Key Washington says, good evening, everyone. Hey, Key, thank you for stopping through. Yeah, we're just talking about breaking our fast and the things that we do to set ourselves up for success as we moving into this new year, new you. And Colton says, my wife sets out M&Ms in a dish in the kitchen. I put so much energy into ignoring its existence. That's right. Now, that one may fall into several categories. That may be access. It may be taste, right? Maybe some emotion in there, and maybe some habits as well, right? So sometimes the things that we do hits all of those. Now, I do want to make one point for those of you who are out there right now, and you say, wait a minute, he's talking about diabetics. I'm not diabetic. Remember that the insulin that we are talking about, right? Because that's the key. The insulin that we're talking about, the insulin is what causes the problems. So whether you have hypertension, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, coronary artery disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, whether you suffer with obesity, whether you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, whether you have you had predisposition for strokes, whether you have a family history of something, y'all, all of those improves with the things that we're teaching this year. Right. So just because you're not diabetic, don't say, hey, I don't have to listen to that, because the same things that we talk to diabetics about, we talk to the pre-diabetics about, we talk to the person who struggles with weight, we talk to the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, the heart disease. All of those things are things that we use and talk about because they are beneficial for everyone. Okay. All right. Remember that. Awesome. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Let me get rid of these colored things down there. Boom, boom, boom. And Key says, I agree. Soon as I hit the city, I have to find the hot nuts vendor on. See, we are kindred spirits, Key. I love it. I love it. That's right. you got to do that. Now, listen, I found, I shouldn't have found. Someone found for me a place. It's downtown Brooklyn, and it's right across the street from the Target that's there. Because I don't know if you're from Brooklyn, but in Brooklyn, I used to work at the Dime Savings Bank that's right there, downtown Brooklyn, right across from BAM. The Brooklyn Academy of Music. So there's Dime Savings Banks there. There's the Junior's Cheesecake, and they have built a Target, right? It's right on the corner. So right across the street from Target, or right down the street from Target, there's a place that sells hot dogs, sausages, and so forth. So I've started actually going there. A friend of mine takes me there when I go to New York. So I don't know. Should I be telling you this, right? I'm bringing you into my dysfunction. Okay. She says, Key says, definitely by habit, not hungry. Yeah, definitely by habit, not hunger. A Single Mission says, hi, Dr. Wood. I met you last week in the Praise Cafe. I'm excited to learn more about this. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Glad that you were able to come through. And yes, I do remember that we met in the Praise Cafe. And she says, yes, glad that you were here. And let me make that point for all of you who are just now finding us. If you are you're not here on the live, and someone sent this to you, you just ran up on it, you saw an advertisement, and you are here now, don't think that you're missing out. You can go back and watch the videos. We are on a year-long progress, right? New year, new you. This is an entire year series, right? So every Monday, unless I specify, we are live talking about the things that we do to put ourselves in the position to be healthy, right? That's our show. During the week, I do the 72-hour fast, and I come on and I do check-ins to let you know where I am. There's some teaching that we do, questions and so forth, so that we can work on this together. Remember, we're educating, we're empowering, and we're encouraging, right? So our New Year, New You is the theme, but the backdrop is still the same. And let's see if I pull that up, right? So that's it right there, right? We educate, we empower. Can you see that? Right, I can probably need to do that. Oh, let me see. Let's see, maybe you can see it this way. Okay, yeah, we'll have to do a better job of showing you that. But there it is, right on the wall. Right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage. Oh, you know what? I have a cup. I have a mug. There you go. Let's do it. Let's do it this way. Right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage. That's what we do here. The education is the teaching that we do. The empowerment are the tools that we learn, and the encouragement is the community that you are a part of. When you come on, when you talk, when you ask questions, when you share, like Coulter's been doing, Key's been doing, who else is on there? Coulter, Key, Teresa, and now a single mission, right? When you guys come on and when you talk, when you share, there are people out there that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. Okay. Now, the other thing that's on the back of the cup, right? So we've got our New Year, New You mug, right? That's our theme for this year. But the premise of our channel is the educating, empowering, and encouraging, right? So that's this thing here that you see. But on the back of both of these is something that I've not shared with you before, but it says, I am, right? Do you see that right there? It says, I am evolving into the person I thought I would be 20 years ago. I was talking to a pastor friend of mine, and we were just having a conversation and about just life in general. And as I thought about this year and what we were going to be doing, I said to him, you know, man, I think I'm finally evolving into the person I thought I was going to be 20 years ago. And y'all, it clicked, right? Sometimes we struggle. And I'll tell you, I sent a message to my sisters and my brothers last week sometime. And I said to them, I said, man, I got it, right? I'm finally at a place that I've been working on, struggling sometimes to get to. And it is a work in progress. And that's why the community, y'all, is so, so important, because you are not alone. You're not out there by yourself. All right. Let's see. Key Washington says, I'm familiar. I lived uptown, though. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when you get to Brooklyn, when you get over there, be sure to get there. And Coulter says, share away, Doc. It's connection. That's right. It's connection. Awesome. Well, y'all, I am so excited that we're here. Another 72-hour fast that's down. We'll be back fasting next week again. But before next week, before we get to the fast on Wednesday, we usually start that Tuesday night into Friday. We will be doing our show on Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. Make sure you're there. So let's go and let's talk about my 3 asks always, right? So the 3 asks, number 1 is the challenge that we do. Right now, the challenge is to fast for 24 hours once a week. That's where we're working. If you are not at 24 hours, that's okay. We are working together. It's a work in progress. If you're at 10 hours, then go to 12. If you're at 12, go to 14. If you're at 14, go to 16 and so forth. Keep adding 2 hours until you can get to that 24 hour, right? And then we're working for 24 hours once a week. That's our challenge for the month of February. So make sure that you are working with us. If you are joining us now, go back, watch the shows, and come along with us. Okay, that's the first thing. Number 2, I want you to show up. The community only gets better when the community is engaged. When you come and you share your stories, when you share your successes, y'all, when you share your failures, right? Other people that are out there, they see and they hear and they know that they're not by themselves. So you help to build the community when you are here. And then finally, I want you to share this with somebody else, right? You know somebody. There are 37 million people in the United States that are diabetic. There are 88 million that are pre-diabetic. Around the world, there are between 430 and 460 million people that are diabetic, right? You know someone in your circle, a mom, a dad, a cousin, an uncle, a coworker, a physician, somebody in your circle that can use the information that we're giving and the information that we're sharing. And I want you to connect with them, let them know that we're here, invite them to the show, send them a link, put it on your social media platform, wherever you are as you're connecting with people, because this is what we do. As always, I'm excited to be here. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, we educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. We'll see you in the social space. We'll see you next week on our show, and we'll catch you again for another check-in. Good night, everybody.